Hey guys, we're going to be talking about the NHL playoff picture. We're only 2 weeks out. The Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, the wild cards. It's going to be good. I also want to touch on the NHL and the Fanatics deal, the merch deal that went down. So stick around to the end for that one. We'll see you in a sec. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to Ducks Hockey and More. It is the weekend of April 1st and April 2nd. Today's Sunday, and we're going to get into the playoff picture as we're getting closer. I think April 17th is the official start of the playoffs. And I just wanted to kind of go over it, kind of like I did in my previous video, where the teams stand as of right now, how things are playing out, and some of the wild card battles, that kind of thing. So let's just dive right into it. We're going to start off with the Eastern Conference. Okay, so really the top six teams in the East have clinched, which is expected. Boston, Toronto, Carolina, New Jersey, the Rangers, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning being the last team to finally clinch. These teams have all clinched. We're good to go, right? The only thing left to find out in the East are the wild card teams, those final remaining spots. The interesting thing, we kind of knew this, and I talked about it in a previous video. Based on the points currently, Tampa and Toronto were looking like they were going to play each other. Well, it's official. They are the first, for sure, number 2, number 3 matchup in the East. So interesting stuff. Toronto and Tampa are going to go to head, and those are good. That's going to be a great battle. I really think Toronto's probably going to come out on that one, but Tampa's got the experience, the playoff clout, if you will. Gone to the Stanley Cup Final 3 years in a row, won 2 of them. So that's going to be a tough battle for Toronto. But I really feel like if Toronto's goaltending can withstand the Stamkos, the Kucherov, the depth that Tampa has, and can break through Vasilevsky, Toronto's got a really good shot at winning this series, and probably in like 5 or 6 games. I don't think it's going to go 7. I really don't. I think if Toronto, it's going to go one of 2 ways. Either Toronto's going to win in 5 or 6, or Tampa's going to win in 5 or 6 and just kind of dominate. So we'll see. But it's going to be a great series. Hey, listen, in the East, like I said, those 6 teams I mentioned before have clinched. Boston is clear-cut number 1. They will play the second wild card team, which as of right now is the Florida Panthers. The Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins keep jumping in and jumping out of the playoff picture. Super cool to watch. I'm kind of leaning towards Florida only because they've come back so far in the standings, and they are playing really, really well right now. As much as I'm not a Matthew Tkachuk fan, he is playing very well for the Florida Panthers. They're hot. What can you say? They're hot. Pittsburgh is, not playing poorly, but again, they have that, Tristan Jarry. Is he going to be able to handle the stress and, what's expected of him in the come playoff time? And even right now, you could even say that the playoffs have already begun for these wild card teams because they're trying to get in. So for them, it's playoff hockey right now, right? So I don't know. It's fun to watch. Florida and Pittsburgh back and forth. Now, New York Islanders are not that far. They're the wild card number 1 spot right now, and they're not that far ahead in terms of points. We've got, typically, most of the teams have about 6 games remaining. 6 to 8, okay, depending on where you're at. It's interesting stuff to watch, though, as Florida has now gone into the wild card spot and Pittsburgh is out. But I don't know. I won't get too in depth with that kind of stuff. But with only a few games left and only a couple weeks of regular season hockey, man, those teams are battling it out, trying to get in. But I wouldn't be surprised if the New York Islanders don't continue to play well and they start to kind of stumble. Florida might even catch them, okay? And maybe New York, the Islanders that is, drop out and Florida and Pittsburgh end up in, which would be crazy. But I want the Islanders to get in. I really do. I kind of want Florida to get in as well. As it stands right now, Boston and Florida would face off in the first round, which would be an interesting matchup. Boston, I think, will take it, but fun to watch for sure. Devils and the Hurricanes, they are in the Metro, and they are they're battling it out for the number one spot in the Metro Division, the Metropolitan Division. Kind of hoping the Devils push hard and get that number one spot. I think that would be really fun for them. Devils haven't been to the playoffs since I think it was 2018 that they last went to the playoffs. So this is big. They've got some great young players in Jesper Bratt, Hughes, Nico Hischier. They just recently acquired Timo Meyer. They got Dougie Hamilton on the back end. They've got some really, 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 really good players. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch come playoff time. Buffalo and Ottawa. Let's not count them out. Mathematically, Buffalo and Ottawa are still mathematically could make it. Will they, though? The teams in front of them are going to have to dump. Florida, New York, the Islanders, Pittsburgh. They're going to have to falter and stumble their way in the next week or two. And Buffalo and Ottawa would have to just keep winning every game to try to make a push. Probably not going to happen, but mathematically they still could. That would be interesting to see if one of those teams snuck in last minute. Listen, that's all I got on the East. Let's talk about the West. The Western Conference is pretty tight as far as point totals go. So far, there's only 2 teams. Instead of 6, there's only 2 teams that have clinched and are going. That would be the Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers, both Pacific Division teams. No clear-cut matchups yet. Nothing's been set in stone as far as any teams that are definitely going to be playing each other, like we do in the East, where we have the Toronto-Tampa Bay matchup already decided. It's going to happen. Edmonton, let's just talk real quick about the Edmonton Oilers and the fact they were my Western Conference Cup prediction. In other words, I felt like Edmonton was going to get to the Stanley Cup this year. Why? Well, Edmonton got to the Western Conference Final last year, lost to the eventual Stanley Cup winner, Colorado Avalanche. I really feel like Edmonton has the right pieces to make it. They added Matthias Ekholm there at the trade deadline, Bukestad. So they've added some pieces to help their depth, to help their defense, which they really needed. And don't forget, okay, Connor McDavid's a stud. An absolute stud. I think he's at 62 goals now. Leon Draisaitl had a hat trick the other night. He is up to 50 goals now. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is solid. Evander Kane is solid. They have got a lot of really good players that can put the puck in the net. I don't know. And they've got something else to think about when it comes to Edmonton. They've got a big physical defensive core. Big guys, not these small, younger guys that can move the puck around really well. They've got big bodies back on the blue line. What does that do for you as a team going to the playoffs? Well, it allows you to pound and break down that other team. Big physical defensemen can pound you. They will make you pay. And over the course of a series, game after game after game, it starts to wear on the other team when you're having to face that kind of stuff night in, night out, right? Okay, so I think that's going to help them big time. They're playing well right now, too. Goaltending. That's going to be the X factor for the Edmonton Oilers. We know they can put the puck in the net. They know they've got a lot of speed and skill on their forwards. Defense is big and strong. They're playing well. Goaltending is a big deal, though. Okay. Stuart Skinner, obviously, he's Rookie of the Month for March, by the way. Had an incredible run in March. His stats in March, he was 10-1-1. 10 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. 2.83 goals against average with a .908 save percentage, and he had a shutout as well. Listen, I mean, those numbers aren't staggering, holy crap, but 10-1-1, he's a rookie. This kid playing really well, man. I mean, so if the Edmonton Oilers continue to just dominate like they are right now, they are dominating teams. Their power play is unreal. It's setting their power play percentage is like in 30 percentile. 30% plus. They are going to set an NHL record for power play percentage. So that's not an issue. But if their goaltending can stay solid the way it is, and they can ride Jack Campbell and Skinner into the playoffs, and those two continue to play well, dude, I'm telling you, Edmonton's going to represent the West in the Cup final. It all comes down to goaltending. I've said it a million times. I'll say it one more time, and I'll say it again probably a lot too. But goaltending and defense wins championships, okay? Goaltending and defense. That's what wins you championships. Right now, I feel like Edmonton has a really good defensive core that struggled in the beginning of the year. They've added Ekholm at the deadline. They're playing well. They're big. They're physical. And they're playing well. Plus, they have goaltending that's actually doing very well right now. Okay, and then as they can ride that into the playoffs, they are the ones to look out for in the West. Seattle. Seattle is in a wild card position right now. They're hanging in there. I think Seattle is going to make the playoffs, and it's going to be their first playoffs and only their second season. Their sophomore season, and Seattle's going to make it to the big show. Who they draw, though, will be interesting to see. Is it going to be Edmonton or possibly Vegas or possibly Minnesota or something like that? The race is tight. Just to give you an idea, 4 points separate the teams in the Pacific. Okay, 4 points, those top three teams. That's it. And only 1 point separates those teams in the top three in the Central. It's tight. So who ends up number one, number two, number three is still yet to be decided. We still have 2 weeks to go. It's going to come right down to the very end until we find out exactly those matchups going into the playoffs. Right now, for the wild card, it's Seattle, and they're holding down the wild card number one spot. Keep in mind, Calgary is coming on strong, and Nashville's coming on strong. They have not fallen off the map. They have time to get in, and if they can, they might make it. 2 points back, Calgary Flames. They're only 2 points back of the wild card spot, that final wild card spot, and the Nashville Predators are only 3 points back of that final wild card spot. So interesting stuff, fun to watch. Let me tell you, it's getting interesting, and the West is looking pretty exciting too. So anyways, there you go. There's the Western Conference as of right now. Edmonton looking pretty good out there. Vegas is also holding their own. The Kings have been playing pretty well as of late as well. They lost to the Edmonton Oilers recently, but then they turned around and beat the Seattle Kraken. So it's just going to be exciting stuff. There's going to be some great matchups come playoff times. That is for sure. Now, there's your playoff picture. I want to go into something a little bit different here to wrap up this video. I want to talk about the recent news and the recent deal that was made between the NHL and Fanatics. Okay, not the number one merchandiser for the NHL, but a primary merchandise company for the NHL. Adidas, obviously, as we know, is the primary jersey maker for the NHL. They have another season as well. Next season, it's still Adidas. But beyond that, and then is now going to be the Fanatics company. Fanatics has kind of been around for quite a while. It's a Florida-based company that early 2000s, I believe, that was purchased. Basically, this I'll find it. Michael Rubin, okay, was the cat's name. He was part of a company called GSI. He purchased Fanatics, which was a Florida-based company, back in 2011. So not too early 2000, but 2011. So in that time period, Fanatics has slowly increased its footprint, not only in the NHL, but in other major league sports, baseball being the big one. So currently, just so you guys know, in 2018, okay, Fanatics started making practice jerseys and practice equipment, if you will, for the NHL. So they haven't done, obviously Adidas is the current NHL game jersey company. Their name's on the back. Fanatics, though, has already kind of stepped in there and started to kind of make their way in. So now, here we are. They've made a deal with the NHL. It's a 10-year deal. That's a big deal. 10 years. So once Adidas is done, which is they've got one more year left, Fanatics then kicks in, and it's going to be 10 years of Fanatics jerseys in the NHL. So a lot of people I've read are, I don't know, I don't like it, because Fanatics jerseys are, I don't want to say cheesy, but they're just a little bit not quite as the quality of what you see in the old school starter days, Adidas, Nike even. So the quality is what's been questioned, but Fanatics, interestingly enough, is not going to sacrifice the quality when it comes to those game-worn jerseys. They are going to use the same factory that's used by the Adidas now, which is in Canada, using pretty much the same material. They might tweak it a little bit, I read, but they're going to use the same type of materials. So the quality of the jerseys isn't going to diminish once Fanatics takes over and starts making them. So that's good news, okay? I think Fanatics will always have their lower quality but cheaper version of the jerseys, which personally I like, because I don't like spending $250, $300 or something like dollars for a jersey. I really don't. I'm not made of money, so for me, the Fanatics version is the option I always tend to go for, and I've never had a problem with them. I like them. They're just fine. Game-worn stuff, the game style, authentic, if you will, is obviously pretty nice too. I like it. I do own a couple of authentic type of jerseys. So either way, I think it's a good thing. Okay, I think Fanatics is going to do a great job. They're already a big part of baseball. The baseball jerseys have the Nike swish on them, right? They're Nike, but guess who makes them for Nike for the Major League Baseball players to wear? Fanatics does. Interesting stuff, right? So NHL fans, this is not a bad thing necessarily. This is a good thing. I get all these weird, I read all these weird comments and people are upset and upset. Who gives a crap, right? Fanatics has been around for quite a while. They've proven they've been in the major league sports industry with now baseball. Now they're moving into the NHL as the actual official jersey, game-worn jersey. So yeah, great. And you can't just throw them out the window yet. We haven't even seen it yet. Okay, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a good thing. I really like it. So, anyways, one interesting thing about this whole Fanatics NHL thing is that the NHL has basically said, look, no NHL team can decide to rebrand themselves and change up their jersey styles or whatever, logos, color schemes, whatever, until Fanatics has officially taken over and at least been making them. So they don't want any kind of branding change, which means for the next 2, maybe 3 years, you're not going to see any major branding changes done, which we see a lot of just because teams like to throw something else out there, generate some income from people buying jerseys that are tweaked and different, like the reverse retros, which it turns out the reverse retros were designed to be a scarce and rare type of jersey that you only have so much time to get them. Once they're gone, they're gone. They're not coming back. That's what I read. If that's the case, kind of sad, because a lot of those reverse retros this year were pretty cool. So I don't know that we're going to be seeing much of that for the next few years, which is the only downside to this whole thing. Otherwise, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a good thing. I really do. So anyways, that's all I've got for this video, guys. As always, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of Ducks Hockey and More. What I need from you is I need your help, and I need your help to help me blow this channel up and get it out there to more people. So smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Most people that come through this channel haven't subscribed yet. So get on there and subscribe. That way you can get all the Ducks Hockey and More videos that are coming out. So smash the like button, subscribe, and definitely leave me comments below. Love getting your comments. I will respond to them. The only ones I don't respond to are the super negative ones, because, hey, I really don't have anything to say to somebody who has a negative comment. But most comments are positive and great, and I love getting your guys' feedback and that kind of thing. So thanks again for watching, guys. Ducks Hockey and More. Let's blow it up, baby. All right, we'll see you on the next one. See ya. And I'm excited. You should be too. I'm going to talk about the Fanatics and the NHL deal that went down a few weeks ago. No. Fuck.